work,
días tan intensos que hemos
we have
tenido
had
de
very
intercambio
intense
con
days
expertos,
of
autoridades,
exchanging
académicos,
information and
actores y
ideas with
sectores de la economía
experts,
social y solidaria.
members from the
100 países,
academia, very important
35
stakeholders
sesiones,
of
3
social and
idiomas,
solidarity
sin
economy,
duda,
over
el foro
100
más
countries,
importante
35
de la
sessions,
economía
3
social.
languages. Without a doubt,
Antes
this
de
has been the
iniciar,
most
y como ya
important
nos
social and
recordaban,
solidarity
tenemos
economy forum.
interpretación simultánea
Before we
en 3
start,
idiomas
as has
francés,
already
en
been said,
español,
we
en
have language
francés y en
interpretation
inglés.
into 3
Recuerden
languages,
que en sus
Spanish, English, and
computadoras, en la
French.
parte inferior
Don't
de
forget,
la
on
ventana
the bottom of
encontrará
your
un
screen
icono
to
del
look
globo
at the
terráqueo.
toolbar where you will
Además, en
find
sus
a
teléfonos
globe.
móviles podrán
If you
seleccionar en
are
la parte de abajo el menú
connecting
de
on your phone,
interpretación.
on the bottom of the screen
Seleccionen
in the
el idioma
menu,
de
you
su
will find
preferencia.
language interpretation. Just choose the
También
language of your
queremos
preference so that you
escucharlos a
follow this
ustedes,
session.
queremos saber qué
We
piensan
also
y
want to hear
tendremos en
back
el chat
from all
una
of you.
pregunta
And to do
orientadora
that,
que nos
we will
ayudará a
share
saber
a
cuáles son
guiding
sus
question on the
opiniones,
chat
sus
box,
ideas, sus
and
dudas
that will
y sus
help guide the
contribuciones.
discussion
Para
to
esta
allow
sesión
us to
plenaria
hear
número
your
5,
answers,
la
thoughts, and
pregunta es
contributions.
cómo
For this
transformar el
fifth plenary
presente
session, the
y
question
construir
is
un
how
mejor
can we
futuro
transform
desde
our
la
present
economía
to build
social
a
y
better
solidaria.
future with the
Además,
perspective
pueden
of
visitar
social and
nuestro
solidarity
sitio web
economy. Don't forget to visit our website
www.gcef2021.org, en donde encontrarán
www.gcef2021.org,
los
where
enlaces
you will
para
find
vernos desde Facebook
all the
en 3
links to
idiomas.
follow
Y
our
desde sus
live
redes
streams on
sociales
Facebook
los
in 3
invitamos a que
languages.
usen el
If you're
hashtag
using social media, please
GCEF2021.
don't forget to use the
En el marco del Foro Global de Economía
GCEF2021.
Social y
In the
Solidaria,
framework of
se
the
convoca a
Global
actores de la
Virtual
economía
Forum,
social y
we have
solidaria de
gathered
todo el
together
mundo
important
para compartir
stakeholders
las
of social and
mejores prácticas,
solidarity economy
experiencias
from all around
exitosas,
the world to
ideas
share
innovadoras
important
y
practices,
soluciones para
successful
lograr un
experiences,
desarrollo
innovative
sostenible
ideas,
e
and
inclusivo.
solutions to
Para
guarantee a
nosotros, desde la
sustainable and
Ciudad de
inclusive
México,
future.
es un honor darles
For
la
us in
bienvenida
Mexico
en nombre
City,
del
it's an honor
Secretariado
to be
del
welcoming
GCEF,
you on
el
behalf
Gobierno
of
de
the
la Ciudad de
GCEF
México,
Secretariat, the
el
Mexico
Gobierno de
City
México
government,
a través del
the
Instituto
Mexican
Nacional de
government,
Economía
through the
Social y el
National
Comité
Institute for
Organizador
Social
Local del
Economy,
GCEF
and the local
2021.
organizing
Y
committee of
antes de
GCEF
pasar al video de
2021.
introducción de
Before
esta
we play our
sesión,
introductory
queremos
video
también
for this
agradecer a la
session, I'd
Fundación
also
Alemana
like
de
to
Cajas de
thank
Ahorro
the
para la
German
Cooperación
Foundation for
Internacional, la
Savings
Fundación
and
Sparkasse. Y
International
si estamos
Cooperation,
listos y me
Sparkasse
indican, podemos
Foundation.
pasar al
Now,
video.
if we are
Nuevamente,
ready,
bienvenidas y
when
bienvenidos.
I'm given a signal, we will be ready to play a video. Once again, welcome everyone.
La relación entre lo global y lo local
The relationship between global and local has been at the center of discussion for the longest time. Territorial organization and cross-border exchange leads to questions about development, well-being, and people. Today, COVID-19
No hay
has shown
globalización
us
sin
the
territorios
importance of being
concretos. No se
interconnected.
trata de
There's no
espacios o procesos
globalization
separados.
without
Lo
specific
global y lo local
local
son
territories.
componentes
They're
de
not
un mismo
separate
sistema.
processes. Everything is part of the same ecosystem. In times of crisis, resilience becomes more important. That's what makes every transformation possible. Social and solidarity economy has
Para
given us
construir
great
un mundo
lessons
mejor
for development
bajo un
around the
principio
world,
rector,
to
la
build a
solidaridad.
better world under
Bienvenidas
the
y
guiding
bienvenidos
principle
a
of solidarity.
Economía Social y
Welcome
Solidaria como un
to
mecanismo para
social and
resolver los retos
solidarity
globales
economy as a
desde una
mechanism to
perspectiva
solve
local y
global
territorial.
challenges with a local and territorial perspective.
Y bueno, creo que con esto ya estamos listos.
Okay,
Tenemos
so
un
now we're
panel muy
ready
interesante
for
con
a
gente que va
very
a compartir
interesting
desde
panel
todas partes
with
del mundo
experts
su
from all
experiencia
over
en
the world
economía
who will
social
be
y
sharing their
solidaria. Y
experience
para
in
este
social and
gran reto y
solidarity
este gran
economy.
honor de escucharlos a todos
For the
ustedes,
great
vamos
honor
a tener
of
a una gran
moderating the
moderadora también.
discussion,
Ella es
we
Laurence
have a
Quark,
wonderful
secretaria
moderator,
general del
Laurence
GCEF,
Quark, Secretary
quien es
General of
máster en
GCEF.
sociología por la
She has a
Escuela de
master's
Altos
degree in
Estudios en Ciencias
sociology
Sociales en
by
París.
the High
Además,
Social
fue
Science
representante y
Institute
secretaria
in
general
Paris. She was
de la
representative
Asociación
and
Pax
Secretary
Romana.
General
Tiene
of the
más de
Pax
30 años de
Romana
labor
organization.
profesional
She
en
has
la
worked for
defensa de
over
los
30
derechos humanos
years
y el desarrollo
promoting
social
human
en
rights and
países en
social
desarrollo,
developments in
especialmente
developing
en Asia
countries,
y en
especially
América
in
del Sur.
Asia and
Así que,
South
Laurence,
America.
te dejo la
So,
palabra para
Laurence,
que nos
welcome,
puedas
and I'll
ayudar a
turn it
moderar
over
esta
to you
sesión y
for
podamos
the
escuchar
moderation
a
of our
todos los
session. We're
colegas
eager
que
to
quieren
listen to
compartirnos
what all
sobre
our colleagues have to
economía
say
social y
about social
solidaria.
and solidarity
Bienvenida,
economy.
Laurence.
Welcome,
Adelante.
Laurence.
Creo que no tienes micrófono.
I don't think your microphone is on.
Creo que todavía no.
We still can't hear you, Lorenz. I think your microphone is off.
Okay. Ahí está.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all who are joining us today. I'm going to be the moderator of this great plenary section on social economy as a mechanism to solve the great challenges from the local and territorial perspective. Today, we have chosen this theme, as you can imagine that we have been discussing about how collective power can be a transformative experience as the social and solidarity economy during the whole week, and which social solidarity economy is present and promoted from all sectors and regions, contributing to the democratization of our economy, reducing violence, building more resilient and peaceful society, internalizing democracy and generating employment, decent work, and providing access to health systems, all of which are included in the Sustainable Development Goals. Thus, we are convinced that the social solidarity economy enables the achievement of 2030 agenda so that no one is left behind. The consolidation of the SSE as an alternative global economic model that will be achieved through the exchange of good practices and its implementation, cooperation through networks of all actors, public-private partnership to shape and strengthen its ecosystems, as well as the creation of partnership for the financing of initiatives that multiply, replicate, and expand the benefit of this experience. The strengthening of the contribution of the social solidarity economy beyond the local and territorial level requires a partnership management between communities, government, civil society, and global and regional actors interested in the social and economic transformation of society, and in this way to overcome the challenges together. This section is a space for the exchange of reflections on how, from the local level, it is possible to face global challenges, showing that the local and the global are not antagonistic, but complementary, and that the social solidarity economy is an engine to achieve the 2030 agenda to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic crisis and to deal with future crises. As it is our last plenary section of the Global Virtual Forum, and with speakers who are representative of those efforts from local to global, acting and shaping this global partnership from where they are, from the local and territorial perspective to global and international organizations who are engaged for a long time to promote social solidarity economy as a strategy and mechanism to better respond to challenges faced by our society so that we could contribute to solve great global challenges such as growing inequalities or the ecological transition, or to achieve the Agenda 2030 through the social solidarity economy. We will also try to share the reflections and debate of the previous sections, as it is going to be the last plenary, in order to highlight some conclusions and shape a new vision towards an inclusive and sustainable world for everyone, especially, I think, in the third round of the section. I would like to present our panelists. We have actually a great panelist representing from very local territorial perspective to the international and even regional organizations. First of all, Mr. Ariel Guarco, who is the president of the International Cooperative Alliance from Argentina. And we have also Professor Madani Kumare, who is the president of the National Network of Support to the Promotion of the Social Solidarity Economy Network, RENAPAS, in Mali. We have Ms. Ulla Engelmann, Head of Social Economy Unit in DG Growth for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and Small and Medium Enterprise at the European Commission, based in Brussels. We have Ms. Antonella Noia, who is the head of the Social Economy and Innovation Unit at the Center for Entrepreneurship, Small and Medium Enterprise, Regions and Cities, and at the OECD. We have also Mr. Van Buren, who is the chair of the UN Task Force for Social Economy, which is a network of 18 UN agencies and 14 observers, and the currently director of Enterprise Department at the ILO. He's also assuming as the chair of the PAGE Management Board Partnership for Action in the Green Economy, and member of the Capital Coalition Supervisory Board based in Switzerland. And our last panelist is going to be Mr. Maxime Padonio-Jobin, who is the mayor of Gatineau City, Quebec, and Canada. Our proceeding of this plenary 5 is going to be in 3 rounds. First of all, we will have first round with a question asked to the panelists. How do you see social solidarity economy as a mechanism to solve the great challenges? How does your organization work for that? And then I think for this first round, each speaker is asked to contribute for 5 minutes from their experience. And then we will go for the second round with the question, what is the contribution of the social solidarity economy to local economic development to achieve the sustainable development goals? And each speaker has only 2 minutes to summarize their contribution. And then we will have a very brief Q&A with participants, also with the guiding question about how actually that we could transform the present and build a better future from the perspective of the social solidarity economy. But also you can raise your questions to the panelists using also by chat and placing your questions. And then we will go for the final round with the question on also how to transform the present and build a better future from the perspective of the social solidarity economy. And we will ask to the panelists to summarize 3 key concluding messages for this section, but also for our forum. So after that, I think we will conclude with a video, and I think this is going to be our concluding plenary of this virtual forum. So I think if it's clear that everybody understands the proceeding of the plenary, I would, without losing much of time, I would like to invite our very first panelist, Mr. Ariel Guarco, who is the president of the International Cooperative Alliance from Argentina. Take the microphone to share your contribution. Mr. Guarco, floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, Laurence.
Thank you very much, Laurence. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I would like to start with a thank you on behalf of the International Cooperative Alliance. I'd like to say thank you for the great effort made by the organizing committee, and very especially I'd like to thank Juan Manuel and all the colleagues, fellow panelists, Maxime, Adani, Antonella, Ula, Vic. I have worked with some of them for a long time and we know each other quite well. I'd like to recognize the effort and the ability that GCEF has had to adapt to the circumstances posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. You have truly turned this crisis into an opportunity to deepen the debate about social and solidarity economy and how it can contribute to global challenges. I believe that this was the right time to address this topic. I'd like to remind you that the International Cooperative Alliance is made up of 315 organizations. We are present in over 110 countries. Around the world, there are about 3 million cooperatives with over 1,200,000 organizations. Each of these cooperatives has been born from a need of a local community and a local territory. Just like any experience with social and solidarity economy, they are the result of local efforts to respond to local needs and interests. If I could summarize the 125 years of history of our alliance, I would say that our task has been to contribute from the perspective of a global network to support very local initiatives. We've done this because cooperatives have always known that their potential for local change is limited by national and international regulations. If we want the social and solidarity economy to truly be a path for global development, we need to raise more awareness on a global level about the need to change the rules of the game, to favor our models of economic partnerships. And I believe this forum could help to do that. It is not enough to continue making local efforts if we truly want to build a new global economy with the perspective of local communities. First of all, we need to have much better access to financing. If the world wants social economy, we will have to invest in social economy. We will need to promote the creation of new funds and investment for projects of rural development, of public services, and other sensitive areas, creating decent and sustainable jobs, for instance. Those should be promoted by companies and businesses, but always with sustainable development in mind. And I don't only mean public funds, or I don't only mean international cooperation. I think the rules of the game of the global financial system also need to change. We need to rebuild a relationship between the financial sector and local needs. And if the financial sector does not begin to respect local needs, it will be very difficult for social and solidarity economy to truly contribute to tackling global challenges. So if our priority is achieving sustainable development, then funding and investment needs to flow into those business models that have the right governance to guarantee sustainable development. In order to promote the development for the 125 years that the Alliance has existed, we have battled to recognize the diversity of models of our businesses, trying to promote consumer rights, trying to promote regulation of essential services and sectors. And that requires a lot of technical knowledge. We need to be very clear as to what the problems are and what the solutions can be. But there is also a lot of political skill that is necessary in order to build the social partnerships that can promote a true change. So I'd like to invite everyone to continue working together to turn this crisis into an opportunity to build consensus on the need for new regulation that is not discriminatory. If we do that, we will significantly contribute to the global cooperation schemes having a real and positive impact on local territories. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ariel Guarco. I think it's very important contribution that he made. As he said, if we really, I think the social solidarity economy to be a mechanism to solve the global great challenges, we cannot remain only at the local level, even though that social solidarity economy fundamentally grounded at the local level, responding to the local needs and contributing to the local development. But we need to have some global responses and global mechanisms actually to cope and to tackle our role as a mechanism to solve global challenges. And I think he has mentioned some of them, and especially to rebuild the financial sector reconciled with the local needs. And of course, we will continue to work together and to build a consensus at the global level. And I think this forum, I hope that has somehow is contributing to build that consensus. Thank you very much once again. Now I would like to invite Professor Madani Kumare, who is the president of the National Network of Support to the Promotion of Social Solidarity Economy in Mali. Professor Kumare, floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Laurence.
Thank you very much, Laurence, and good morning to everyone. I would like to share some statistics from the World Bank with you, just as a reference, a very important reference, in my opinion, around the world. We are currently going through a historic moment, and we will be living the consequences of this for many years to come. The World Bank has claimed that global and solidarity economy should go from 1% to 2.5%. There will be a tremendous economic contraction. This will, of course, affect many people, especially in Africa and Asia. More than a fourth of the people who will be suffering the consequences will be in Africa. The number of people suffering from food insecurity will double. And there will also be a security crisis. There will be a growth in war and cross-border violence, all of which represents a threat to production, education, and will lead to greater unemployment and forced displacement. I wanted to share a little bit of that context by sharing these alarming circumstances that we're going through. We need to overcome challenges worldwide. We can talk about the vicious cycle of poverty prompted by the global governance models that reproduce social inequality, youth unemployment, that lead to climate change and health risks, as we see with the COVID-19 crisis. Social and solidarity economy can promote growth considering equality because it promotes strengthening the skills and abilities of local communities to make them true actors of our economy and benefit from development and growth. Social entrepreneurship, social financing that's inclusive, that can support cooperatives, health mutuals, associations of displaced populations, people with disabilities. All the support that we can provide to these communities has contributed to reducing inequality and distribute resources much better. Communities can have access to resources, including land, credits, thanks to these initiatives. If we strengthen individual and collective capacities, social and solidarity economy can continue to grow. It can also contribute to sustainable development as a whole. Despite the weakness many African countries have shown. Most of them have not suffered as much as some of the wealthiest countries have been affected by this crisis. Our economy is not being threatened as much, even though economic growth is expected to slow down because of the crisis. During the COVID-19 crisis, some African countries have benefited from cooperatives in the transportation sector as they have distributed food, and that has helped government services when they have not been enough in order to guarantee that the response is much stronger for society as a whole. Social cooperation. If social cooperation did not exist in our countries, I believe that the healthcare system in our countries would have been one of the leading causes of death in our country. Thanks to cooperatives, in this context of the lockdown of the pandemic, thanks to the distribution networks of local communities, thanks to informal workers, and thanks to populations who have organized in different schemes, they could have access to food. All of this makes us think that social and solidarity economy is truly the right focus that should be prioritized now in order to take on the global challenges that humanity is facing today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Kumare. I think he's rightly pointed out that how we are actually living a very historical time of crisis, which are setting back of many progress that we made for decades, really have lost it. And both, I think this crisis is creating not only food security and growing inequalities and poverties with youth employment, especially in Africa, but also is contributing to a greater security crisis. So he's actually really calling for the attention that we really need urgently a very fair and equitable resource sharing. And this can be done only through a social solidarity economy if we could build the capacities both for at individual and collective level, and actually really to work on strategies and policies to promote social solidarity economy as a response and as a strategy. Thank you very much, Professor Kumare. Now I would like to invite Ulla Engelmann, Head of Social Economy Unit in DG Growth at the European Commission. Ulla, how do you see social solidarity economy as a mechanism to solve the global challenges, and especially from the perspective of the European Commission, who is preparing your new strategy for next 7 years? Ulla, floor is yours.
Hello to everybody, and also from my side, thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you in this panel what we are doing from European side, and particularly what our plans of the European Commission are. And as you quite rightly said, we are ahead of a new program which will last for 7 years, but also we have just had in July the announcement of a big recovery package, because also in unprecedented solidarity between the 27 member states, the European Union member states, there has been the announcement of a recovery package where we will look into how to get out of this crisis, on the one hand the short term, but also the long term impacts. And there is then also a strong encouragement, because the different member states will have to submit their plans. And we have seen already in some of the member states, social economy takes quite a prominent role in these national recovery plans. So we have seen already right in the beginning that social economy actors have assisted the recovery from the crisis by providing innovative solutions. And they were aiming at strengthening public services to complement government action. And on long term, we know that social economy organizations can help to shape the post-crisis economy by promoting inclusive and sustainable economic models. So if we look at this principle and adding also the importance of social innovation to it, that will then help make the companies also better prepared for this economic crisis. And therefore, what we also have done, we have collected right at the beginning of the crisis best practices on how the social economy community fight against Corona. So, and we have made this available and on our website and help to disseminate this information, because it is a lot about inspiring each other. Because what is done, because social economy is very much on local acting, and there you find some very good examples, and it is important to be able to share this example with each other, and also to go further and to scale up from the local, becoming then more global activities. And I would want to share one example with you. We have here also what is called the industrial clusters, and the European industrial clusters, they created European Alliance Against Coronavirus. And in this alliance, which is of industrial clusters, they have regularly invited social economy actors to discuss with them and see how they can join forces. So there was, and I think this is something very important, if we want to give more visibility and if we want to have the influence of social economy going further than only within our own bubble, meaning we, of course, we believe that it's the right thing to go, but we need to go further. And by this going further, we need to engage with traditional businesses, we need to have exchanges, and this has helped, for example, if we had these meetings with this cluster community. And there are other examples, like we have the European Green Deal promoting circularity, and also there social economy enterprises play a key role. So we are trying to really see how can social economy help the transformation, on one hand the green transformation, on the other hand the digital transformation. And all of this is then also feeding in what we call the Social Economy Action Plan, which we are working now and in a co-creation process, which is about to be published in the second half of next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ulla Engelmann, for this very positive and optimistic contribution from the European Commission. It's really very encouraging to hear from you that 27 countries, member countries of the European Commission, have included social solidarity economy in their national plan and strategies on how to better build back from the COVID-19 crisis. And also it's very interesting actually to see that in the new Green Deal that European Commission actually expects social solidarity economy to play a key role for both green transformation and digital technology. It is very true that what you said, we cannot just remain at the local level and among the clusters of social solidarity economy if we would like to become a mechanism to solve the great global challenges. So it's very important to build this partnership with traditional economic actors and business, such as what you have given as an example, thank you very much for this very encouraging sharing and good practices. Now I would like to invite Ms. Antonella Noia, Head of the Social Economy and Innovation Unit at the Center for Entrepreneurship and SMEs and Regions and Cities at the OECD. Antonella, as you are actually, you have launched the Global Action Project on Social Solidarity Economy Ecosystem. I'm sure that also you have a lot of good and positive response to this question. How do you see social solidarity economy as a mechanism to solve the great challenges, especially from the OECD perspective? Antonella, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Laurence, for this kind introduction, and to you and the organizer for having invited me to share OECD perspective on the very important topic on which we have been working for more than 2 decades now. So I want to start my talk by restating the fact that social and solidarity economy has always been a mechanism to address great challenges and sometimes untractable ones, be these local or global. And these exist and will exist beyond the crisis situation, which are making more visible the role of social economy as a mechanism to address challenge, but are not inventing the role. This role pre-existed to the different crises. Of course, due to the worsening of the economic and social situation, also as a consequence of the COVID crisis, social and solidarity economy is therefore more than ever a crucial actor. And this is because the crisis calls for strong global responses and new solutions that place solidarity, cooperation, and responsibility at the core. And these are exactly the values that inspire the practices of social and solidarity economy. And for this reason, social and solidarity economy organizations are ideally positioned to contribute to this global effort. So I would like to underline how social and solidarity economy can contribute to achieve this, this goal, to rethink the way we envisage our social and economic landscape. So since the offset of the crisis, social and solidarity economy organizations have illustrated 2 crucial roles. The first one is the repairing role, and the second one is the transforming role. What do I mean by this? The role of repairing economies and society concern the capacity of social economy to address market and state failures, complementing that way the public action in various areas. And we have thousands of examples of this all around the world. The role of inspiring and transforming economy and society concerns the capacity of social economy to design, experiment, and implement innovative ways to organize economic activity in a more inclusive and sustainable way. And this results in responsible practice which transform or might transform the economic system and can inspire other actors to adopt this practice. I believe that the emergence of the so-called purpose economy and the social purpose movement, although being different from social and solidarity economy, is a clear demonstration of this inspirational power on social and solidarity economy. From the local and territorial perspective, I think that it is important to underline that social and solidarity organizations can be very creative and resilient exactly because they draw their capacity from their local roots. They mainly operate at the local level in proximity and collaboration with local actors, which enables them to identify and address local needs while tackling global issues. And this capacity to develop these local networks gives them a competitive advantage, for instance, in engaging with the hard-to-reach groups. and the social and solidarity economy adopts a place-based focus that builds and fosters social cohesion as a way to improve economic opportunities, and by empowering citizens to take ownership of their future, it creates trust, which is all the more important to overcome global challenges. I'm going to conclude to remind the action that Laurence mentioned, this global action that we have launched, but what OECD has done for over 2 decades now is to help policymakers to improve their ecosystem for social and solidarity economy organization to thrive and consolidate. We are working with the European Commission also to better explore the legal framework for social economy organization, along with the social impact measurement of their action, which will show their contribution that they give to the resolution of local and global challenges.
Thank you very much, Antonella Noia. I especially would like to emphasize what you have said. Actually, social solidarity economy play a very crucial role, especially on two aspects, to shippers, because they are really responding to the daily and local needs, and because of what they have contributed to respond to those needs and local development, the capacities of social solidarity economy are recognized, and this is showing also the trust and their credibility to play a more transformative role. I think it's very important probably for the theme of today's plenary, how actually we could build a mechanism through the social solidarity economy also to respond to the global great challenges. And I think also one aspect that you have mentioned, that is very important to engage with policymakers, especially to consolidate more sustainable social solidarity economy ecosystem. And I think we are really looking forward to your global action, because I think this will surely contribute to scale up social solidarity economy as a mechanism to solve the great challenges. Thank you very much once again. Now I would like to invite Mr. Bic van Buren, Chair of the UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy. Bic, I think you are representing at the same time ILO, but also this group of UN agencies who are working for the promotion of social solidarity economy, as well as the recognition of the social solidarity economy within the United Nations. How United Nations see social solidarity economy as a mechanism to solve the global challenges, how actually your UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy is working for that. Bic, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lauren, and congratulations to GSEF on a great few days of interaction, and hello to everyone out there. You know, the world is being profoundly affected by the global pandemic, and the world of work is no exception. We see a huge loss of lives, loss of jobs, closure of businesses. And earlier in the week, I mentioned that we've already lost about 490 million, the equivalent of 490 million jobs. This has caused a human tragedy with many negative impacts on the economy. Even prior to the pandemic, there was this huge social deficit, and the fast pace of digitization, mechanization, the striving for profits and power. The human being has become a number on a balance sheet. And this is my hymn sheet that I continually sing. But we need to build back now and focus on a human-centered approach. And this is what the social and solidarity economy is all about. But what we need to recognize is that we need to do this on a joint basis. We need to do it with people, the economy, the environment, and the community. This has to be a holistic approach, and that's how the UN system is approaching it. Governments and social partners need to better understand the social and solidarity economy and how it can benefit people, the economy, and the environment. And we cannot just rely on a few countries that have got good practice to carry this out globally. And therefore, there's no magic wand that the governments out there in the developing world can wait for to see overnight that suddenly things will go better. By better understanding the social economy, governance will be better positioned to create an enabling environment which is mostly lacking in the developing world. Social enterprises need to be included in any recovery process and benefit from any recovery packages. At the moment, too many of them are on the periphery and are not part of any regulatory framework, and therefore are not benefiting from any of the packages that governments are putting on the table. It is time for the social and solidarity economy to be part of national strategies and not be an afterthought. It has to be mainstreamed into the national strategy. It's also time for regional bodies to put the social economy on their agendas, and that it needs to be mainstreamed into their thinking. Only then will we start seeing the increase in the scaling up of activities of the social economy to make the impact that the Sustainable Development Goals are looking for. It's time to draw lessons and to work for the sustainability of the current and post-pandemic periods. The pandemic has exposed many fragilities in the economies and deepened existing inequalities while highlighting the need for resilience, innovation, and cooperation. It's necessary to address the root causes of exclusionary and unsustainable development in order to shape for a different future. The social and solidarity economy must be seen key in shaping this people-centered and planet-sensitive recovery. In closing, I'd just like to state that, earlier this week, we had a comment from I think it's Monica, that from the youth that said they are looking for solutions. Well, the social and solidarity economy provides many solutions and is putting forward a value proposition that the world is hungering for. And so all of this is very well connected. It now needs governments to take up this challenge and to mainstream these discussions. But at the same time, we're relying on each and every one of you, those who are part of this discussion today, to take up the challenge and to make sure that you can get the debate on the agenda, and not to remain part, as I keep referring to this group as being in a church, not keep preaching to the converted. We need to get out there and to go in a different direction. At the UN, we've got a for SDGs program, which we discussed at an earlier session. This is a program we've put together to help governments. And this is a very needy or a mindful program that can meet the needs of governments in putting together that enabling environment that we need. So we at the UN are very keen to work with governments. We work with all of our observer members of the UN task force and everyone out there that wishes to work with us to further the agenda of the Sustainable Development Goals through the social economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Big Van Buren. I think he has said, if my memory is correct, in each and every meeting that we should not preach to the converted, and we should really go out of our, a cluster of social solidarity economy, because if we would like to mainstream social solidarity economy to be the strategy of great transformation and mechanism to solve the great challenges, I think he's really insisting that the social solidarity economy should be part of the national strategy, and also to put on the development agenda of many regional bodies. So this would be only the way to scale up social solidarity economy as a strategy, as a mechanism to solve challenges that we are facing, and especially the challenges which are produced by very unsustainable development model that we could actually contribute with our value propositions and a lot of good practices providing solutions to very concrete issues. Thank you very much. Actually, the UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy that he's chairing is working a lot to bring core group of governments to champion on this project, and both through the what he has mentioned, that project of UN resolution, but also to engage with much more government. Thanks a lot for your work and for your very prospective proposal from UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy. And I would like to now invite our last panelist, Mr. Maxime Pedneau-Jobin, who is the mayor of the Gatineau city in Quebec. He's actually our representative of members and especially local government of GCEF, as well as he has just developed also public policies to promote and to put really social solidarity economy in the strategy of his city. So, Mayor Maxime Pedneau-Jobin, floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Quirk. Merci à vous tous d'être là. C'est
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to see so many people who are committed and who understand the importance of social and solidarity economy. In our opinion, social and solidarity economy is a tool to transform institutions. In fact, today, the Council of the City of Gatineau will be adopting a social and solidarity economy perspective to strengthen the institution. In Gatineau, we have 300,000 inhabitants, and we have a long tradition of social economy. There are many businesses that have used strategies of social and solidarity economy for years. At a moment when many companies in Quebec were being shut down, we created a network in Gatineau, which has supported, for instance, a natural protected area with the support of the city government. So we have a long tradition of social and solidarity economy, but we didn't really have a mechanism to frame our actions. So one of our main goals was to consolidate citizen action in our economy. So we wanted to promote citizen participation in collective businesses of social and solidarity economy. Our second goal has a lot to do with what we're talking about today, which is that we wanted to build partnerships between the government and citizens to make sure we could start collaborating. So we wanted to promote citizens' action in our economy. We didn't want to create new programs for that. We thought we need to change the way we govern. We need to change the way we carry out public administration to come closer to our local population. So we wanted to create a different culture of collaboration, of partnership with the general population. To do that, we started to see everything we had at hand to promote collective action. So investment, infrastructure, everything we had available, vendors. We had to analyze our public policies, and we realized that we couldn't really make these changes on our own. We had to acknowledge that carrying out certain municipal mandates would need citizens to be involved, because often these organizations are a lot more flexible, they can mobilize resources more easily, and they have a lot more flexibility to adapt than government institutions do. And with these policies, we try to learn from Europe's example in terms of managing public services being supported by civil society. So we work with a group of 12 people who started collaborating with the civil society to try to have an open communication channel between the government and civil society. That, I think, is essential. We need to transform government institutions. We need governments to connect much better with citizens and understand their needs. when we work together, we can change the world. We have had floods in 2018, we had a tornado, and then we had floods in the city. And the city, since it had started to collaborate with civil society, we found a way to be more resilient in the face of those problems. As Mr. Van Buren said, we have to do capacity building for social and solidarity economy to be at the center of our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Maxime Pedino-Jovin. I think, as he said, it's very interesting, especially he's from Gatineau City of Quebec, which has a very long tradition of social solidarity economy and very well-known and sustainable ecosystem that he said, even though that despite of this long tradition of social solidarity economy, that especially as a local government, I think they have never tried to build a mechanism to promote social solidarity economy as a strategy. So I think what he said is very important for today's discussion. The social solidarity economy is a tool to transform the institution. And I would say especially local and national government, public institutions, and also many of other social and economic institutions. And I think the two strategies they have adopted is really that citizen action and engaging in the economy, as well as to build the partnership between government and actors of civil society. I think this is something which is coming straight to really to the questions that how actually we could mainstream social solidarity economy as a mechanism to respond to the great challenges, and especially to solve those great challenges. I think from our very first panelist to our last panelist, I think the conveying messages are all very clear that our strengths of the social solidarity economy is really coming from where we are, in a sense that we are rooted in a local and territorial level, and responding to the direct needs of the people, and innovating and also bringing very concrete transformations through very creative way. So there are a lot of those good practices available, and I think many have shared. But also we cannot stay at that local level, but we have to go to the regional and global level, and especially to the agenda of our governments, our public institutions and regional institutions, so that social solidarity economy should be a main strategy of those development programs, and also on the agenda of those institutions. And I think what Maxime has just said is very important, that we should be a tool to transform those institutions. And I think this summarizes quite well of what we have heard throughout the whole first round of discussion. Just before we move to the next round, I would like to just remind that actually we have about 459 people who are connected through Zoom at the moment from, I think, various countries. Throughout this week that we had more than 99,000 people who are connected through Zoom for different sections. But also at the moment, not only these 459 people, but a lot of people are probably following through live broadcast available at our website, www.gcef2021.org, and also live streaming via Facebook of the INAES is ongoing, and those who would like to join now for the remaining of the plenary section as well as the closing ceremony, please also bear in mind that we do offer 3 language interpretation via Zoom. So please choose at the bottom of the screen, the icon of the globe to choose your language of preference. Also that please, those who have social medias, I think you can use in digital social media hashtag GCEF 2021 to comment and to share about your messages and your impressions. And I think especially I would like to remember our team of the GCEF Virtual Global Forum, Great Challenges, Greater Solidarity, Power of Community and Social Solidarity Economy as a Path for Transformation. So please visit also our website and I think you can comment of course in this chat of the Zoom and you can also address your questions to the panelists. Also, I would like to ask all of you to respond to a guiding question: how to transform the present and build a better future from the perspective of the social solidarity economy. And as this is the final plenary, I think it will be good to have your thought, comment, and suggestions to respond to this question. Now I would like to move to the second round with the question that I asked to all panelists. What is the contribution of the social solidarity economy to local economic development to achieve the sustainable development goals? Ariel, can I invite you, Ariel Guarco, to take a floor? How do you see that contribution of the social solidarity economy to local economic development and especially to achieve the sustainable development goals? Ariel, the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, Laurence.
Thank you very much, Laurence. I think that when the Sustainable Development Goals were set, the idea of development changed. So before, the discussion was about what to do in order for development to be available to everyone. But now we need to think about what we need to do to change our type of development. The goal is not only to have development for all, it's to change the way in which we develop, because otherwise the planet will not be enough. It's that simple. So this debate needs to be taken to the local level and to the core of social and solidarity economy. Social economy needs to be a path to change the development model at the local level and not only to include those who are less privileged. So we need to invite our communities and our local governments to ask themselves the correct questions and then show them that through these models that we are promoting, they can find the best answers, the best solutions. So some questions could be, where are we placing our savings, for instance, in institutions that finance local development or in speculative funds? Where are we buying? Where are we purchasing? From organizations where consumers can prioritize environmental care and health care, or are we prioritizing oligopolic organizations? Who is going to change the energy mix? Those who own the process or people, users in their own territories, and they have different types of consumption and services? Should we be based on competition or collaboration? Who do we work for? For people who we don't know, that only look for profit, or to meet the needs of our community? Those questions are important for all citizens, not only for those who are less privileged or less protected. So we need to put forward these important issues to all communities and make them realize that the social economy is important for all. It's not only about promoting solidarity for those who are not privileged or for those who have no resources. This is important for everyone to reach sustainable development. So that is the challenge that we're facing right now, making Sustainable Development Goals, a real initiative at the local level through social economy. So we need to start by asking ourselves the most important questions. And we need to remember that social and solidarity economy is not only like an ambulance that picks up those who are wounded or injured by other models. It is rather the correct model that we should have in order to take care of ourselves and the planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ariel Guarco. I think it's interesting. I just take one message that he said. Idea of development is changing. So what we should do as a social solidarity economy is to change the goal of development. And we should be a path to change development models and development goals. And I think it's a very important message that we can take with us. And now I would like to invite Professor Madani Kumare from Mali. Take floor. Professor Madani, floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Laurence.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. The contribution of social and solidarity economy for the contribution of a more humane and inclusive development, as well as a more sustainable one, is essential. When we talk about the humane side and sustainability, I believe that those are very visible aspects when it comes to the values of social and solidarity economy. So beyond just accompanying organizations in the responsible management of economic challenges, organizations need to anticipate macroeconomic consequences in general, but also all economic stakeholders and activities should be taken into consideration. Models should be proposed to create enabling transformations to promote progress in the least privileged populations with the lower levels of income. There are several types of organizations in social and solidarity economy, and they will vary depending on countries where they need to adapt to the population's concerns. And the common element that they all share is that we need a holistic approach. And we need a participatory approach so that all real problems can be addressed and they can be objectively analyzed so that we can reach a consensus and a long-lasting set of solutions. Therefore, in all countries in Africa, all African countries almost, there are strategies to fight against poverty, to fight against exclusion, among other issues. But all of these strategies seek human development. So why not use this social solidarity approach, which is based on the human aspect, to solve those problems? Therefore, we believe that the resources and the means are available to implement social and solidarity practices in order to reach cultural, economic, and social development in places where the social and solidarity economy is already in place. So governments need to incorporate all those values into their programs and collaborate with all of these actors. Whenever we mention socioeconomic instability, the roots are almost always economic. So when we work with social and solidarity economy models, we can solve those problems. Because each of the inhabitants of that location are going to be able to participate in the local economy and generate income that is going to be distributed. SSE in those territories is equal to social peace, job generation, and it also allows young people to stay in their own regions, and that prevents clandestine immigration, and other types of displacements, which can be a danger for them in the future. In Mali, for instance, it is a country that is in a war against terrorism ever since 2012. But now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has mobilized funds to implement response measures in real time. And in Europe, this has not been done. The local economy is based on local action. Local communities also have to organize themselves right now, at this very moment, so that they can get the public power involved, because they have access to the funds. So it is important to plan those responses and anticipate natural disasters or potential challenges that may arise. Therefore, we have learned quite a lot, and we have created strategic partnerships with communities so that planning can also include social and solidarity economy, and to go beyond that, so that public policy can also integrate social and solidarity economy fully. So that is why we ask all countries to put pressure on their governments so that they can act in a way that enables social and solidarity economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kumare. I think that since we are a little bit behind of time, I wouldn't summarize what he just shared. Just one probably word that he has insisted a lot: the resources and means to implement the action of social solidarity economy if we really want to allow social solidarity economy to contribute to the local economic development as well as the SDGs. So I would like now invite Ulla Engelmann from European Commission. Ulla, how do you see that, what is the contribution of the social solidarity economy to local economic development and also to achieve the SDGs? Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. We think, of course, that social economy is a very important part which has to be done on a local level. But for this, you need the engagement with a local level, which means cities, regions, and in order to help, because it is not always obvious for the social economy stakeholder to have access to the local or regional level. And in order to help to create these bonds, we created what we call European Social Economy regions, where we brought together the local authorities like cities or regional authorities and with the social economy stakeholders, because a lot is also about trust. When you start cooperation, I mean, when you start talking to each other, it's the first step to a cooperation. And we see that this have worked, and then we transformed it with some possibilities, some funds into European social economy missions, where we now help to exchange between these different cities and regions the best practices, because this is then really to help for transition. And as we need also this transition within the recovery process, there we have also proposed some very concrete examples, like social housing. Social and affordable housing is something very important, and that's why we have in the recovery plans what is called renovation wave, and part of this renovation wave proposed is an affordable housing initiative, and which we will then of course count on the social economy to be part of this affordable housing initiatives in order to concretely change something at the local level. And we will continue this kind of discussions, because these are examples and it's good to share them which we are planning what we call the European Social Economy Summit, which will hold in May. But in the run-up, it will be taking place in the city of Mannheim in Germany. We have the digital road to Mannheim, because we felt there's so much which we can discuss and share with each other, that we have each month now one of this digital road to Mannheim, and this engaging on local level is one of the specific topics on this road to Mannheim. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ulla. I think it's very interesting to hear your very innovative and very creative initiative of European Social Economy Regions, which was launched actually at the 2018 Bilbao Forum of GCEF. And I was so amazed actually how actually this has shaped, its path of becoming a very important tool for exchange of good practices. And as you also shared that so European social economy missions, which really pull all stakeholders at the local level to build a trust and partnership. So thank you very much for this initiative and for sharing also that this very concrete example, as I think she has invited all of you, that I think you can join to the road to Mannheim through the virtual discussions to know more about this very interesting initiative and very good practices which are developed by various local regions of European Union. Now I would like to invite Antonella Nella. Antonella, so what is your opinion about what is the contribution of the social solidarity economy to economic development and also to achieve SDGs? Floor is yours.
Thank you again, Laurence. I want to start by saying that long before the adoption of the SDGs, the social economy contributed to local economy development on a number of areas that now correspond to several of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I can quote reducing poverty and hunger, improving health, well-being, and the quality of education, or promoting more inclusive and sustainable economies and society. So all these have been long-standing objectives of social economy organization, which shows that in many, many areas, social economy, even in many conceptual thinking, social economy have been pioneering actions and fields. Possibly, I think that one of the most visible impact of social and solidarity economy organization in the field of the Sustainable Development Goal may be their contribution to build decent work and inclusive economic growth. So maybe the SDG number 8. And this can be illustrated by the strong impact on employment, in particular for the most disadvantaged, although not only, and I agree with Ariel Garco that we should break the silos which put social economy just for disadvantaged people. Social economy is for everyone and operating in every sector. And in fact, the contribution of social economy, for instance, to the inclusive and economic growth and decent works, can go beyond the contribution to employment, but because, of course, by creating employment in several areas, it contributes also to the circular economy, to the food sector, the cultural sector, and so they contribute to a large range of sustainable development goal. And I think that it is really important to better track the social and solidarity economic contribution to the social and development goal. And our global action, and I have put a lot of information on the chat for those of you who are interested in learning more, can contribute to this effort of better capturing the contribution of social economy to the SDGs through the work that we are going to do on social impact measurement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Antonella. I think that as she has insisted a lot, actually, that probably one of the main contribution of the social solidarity economy to achieve the SDGs are really on the SDG 8, especially to create a decent work and inclusive economy, but also more widely, actually, that social solidarity economy is contributing to achieve many other SDGs, and especially all those goals are related to sustainable developments and social inclusion. I think that as the UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy is also working a lot on this issue, I would like to invite immediately Big Van Buren, Chair of the UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy, to continue about this exchange of contribution and debate. Big, floor is yours.
Thank you. At our meeting in Trento last year, where we looked at the strategic priorities of the UN Task Force, we identified 5 areas, and one of them was local economic development. And that's certainly an area that will be getting our focus. But I think what's important to point out for today is that there are certain fundamental principles that are not in place at the local economic levels. And that is that process is as equally important as content. And we need to understand that if we're taking forward the social and solidarity concept, then we need to have a better branding and create an understanding of how the social and solidarity economy works. We need to have far better education processes at all levels of education for people to understand the dynamics of the social economy and the benefits of engaging with it. So as I said, the process of inclusivity, and I think Ulla touched on that, the whole process of engagement, it becomes extremely important. And we must accept that not everybody is working off the same level of knowledge and a knowledge platform. And to this end, one of the other priorities of the UN Task Force has been the creation of a knowledge hub and a knowledge platform. And we've already set this up about 2 years ago. And the idea is to make available across the globe a knowledge platform of best practice and understanding of the social economy that is easily accessible to anybody at the local levels who wants to learn more about what this is about. And the last point I want to stress is that this proposal that I spoke about earlier, the SSE for SDGs project, is one that is geared for the local levels to help governments and the local economic development processes to up their game and to start achieving a much more scalable success than what they're achieving at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Big. I think since we are a little bit behind of time, I'm just inviting all of you to visit UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy Knowledge Hub, as well as the platform, as he has suggested. There are a lot of resources, good practices, and contributions available on this team, which is very important. And I think not only from 18 UN agencies, but also 14 observer organizations. So please visit those Knowledge Hub as well as UN Task Force Social Solidarity Economy website. I would like to now invite Mr. Maxime Pedreño-Jobin, Mayor of the Gatineau City. Please. Floor is yours, Mayor. Can you share about your idea of what is the contribution of the SSE to local economic development, especially from the perspective of Mayor?
Oui. Pour moi, la principale contribution de l'économie sociale fondamentale.
For me, the main contribution for social and solidarity economy is that you are giving confidence to citizens and giving them economic power. This is what makes the social economy one of the most powerful initiatives to compensate for the mistakes of capitalism and it is one of the best tools at our disposal to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. The local level, the work done at the local level, makes it possible for communities to offer essential services which empower citizens so that these actions actually make sense for them. And the benefits that are given to the community rather than for the individual is also an essential aspect of it. I would say that thanks to citizenship participation, the social economy is seeking the greater good. In my opinion, the social economy completely changes the situation. It completely changes the landscape because citizens become stakeholders, they become partners. And that, for me, is the most fundamental contribution of the social economy. The fact that you can evolve the entire political and economical system in favor of citizens is, for me, the best contribution.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I think you have really pointed that it's very important that social solidarity economy should really build an alliance and a partnership with the citizens. And as social solidarity economy empowers really the citizens at the local level, and that's why citizens' participation is very important, especially if we would like to respond to the local economic development. Since we are really behind of time, I'm very sorry to inform you that with the organizers of this forum that we have just decided not to have a Q&A section, which we have planned to have it with you for about 15 minutes. But since I think we also have a closing section after this plenary 5, I'm very sorry actually to say that we are not going to have interaction with the public. I know that Laura Rodriguez from FOCOFES have raised 2 questions. We have those questions and we will relate these questions to the speakers, and we will try to get those responses even after the plenary is over. So I seek your understanding, and we will move straight to the round 3 with the question about how to transform the present and build a better future from the perspective of the social solidarity economy. I really ask each speaker to speak only for 2 minutes, and if possible with your concluding message, in 3 key words. So let me invite first Ariel Guarco. Floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, Laurence.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. I would just like to briefly state that I believe that this pandemic that we're going through has exposed all of our environmental and social weaknesses. It has also shown us how weak we are at the local level, and it has taught us that we need global collaboration to overcome the challenges that we're facing. I think that we should not overlook this opportunity as humans, and we should not overlook this opportunity to learn. We should make the most of it. And now we have before us the greatest challenge of environmental crisis. So in this regard, the social economy needs to have a 2-dimensional action. So at the global level, as I said at the beginning, we need to advocate to change some of the rules of the game, and we need to talk about financing, changing the global finance structure, and we need to change rules and regulations in all countries so that social and solidarity economy models are promoted. At the local level, which is where we are having our greatest influence, and it's where the social economy was born, we need to harness those opportunities that are essential for us. As I said in my previous intervention, we need to take care of people, the environment, circular economy, renewable energies, green economy, care economy, digital economy, and agroecology. So that is where we need to place our hope. Everyone who is concerned about the future of humanity should be focusing on those dimensions, and that is how social economy can help. But we need to innovate, because what we have done in the past will not necessarily work in the future. Our values, however, are permanent. Our principles are permanent. And all of these things are things that people sometimes don't relate to the economy, but I think that they are our very foundation: mutual help, solidarity, cooperation, and fundamentally democracy. These are guiding values and principles that should always be a priority, and we should answer yes to this call by the United Nations to create a global alliance for sustainable development. So at the local level, the global level, I believe that this type of events lead to a better articulation among all of the organizations concerned about sustainable development. And at the local level, I completely agree with what Maxime said. In Argentina and in other countries, I have seen that municipality networks are being organized based on cooperation, and they have different types of cooperation schemes based on social solidarity economy, and we have all of the civil society stakeholders that are most important to us. In our countries, our agreements are based on 4 different principles: local development, cooperation, care for the environment, and care for health. I think that if we continue working to unite and build those partnerships for sustainable development that are based on the local level but have a global outlook, we will be prepared to face not only the present challenges but also future challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ariel Guarco. Let me invite now Professor Madani Kumare to convey your concluding messages on how to transform the present and build a better future from the perspective of the social solidarity economy. Floor is yours.
Merci beaucoup, Laurence. Je rappelle quand même.
Thank you very much, Florence. Well, I would like to remind you all that the failure in the achievement of sustainable development goals is due to the fact that all of the inclusive development approaches were not considered, such as social and solidarity economy. COVID-19 has shown us that no country, no village, no government, powerful as they might be, can possibly face humanity's most existential challenges on their own. And despite that, we still don't have a global response plan for this humanitarian crisis. So as a stakeholder for social and solidarity economy, we must consider this as an alternative to neoliberalism. And now, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we are going to promote the following proposals. The first of which is the adoption of a science-based perspective, a non-hypocritical perspective that will promote the humanitarian responses. Our main pillar should be an ethical pillar based on solidarity and transparency in international politics. This should lead to the adoption of a new order for human and universal development based on the principles of social and solidarity economy. This will be essential to take on the global challenges and build, together with all the stakeholders and all of the governments, strategies to overcome all of those challenges. for organizations of social and solidarity economy, it is very important for us to become real stakeholders, to really be engaged, to promote a radical change, proposing global holistic solutions. Our future, it depends on that. So we need to come together to collectively create good humane conditions for our existence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Kumare. Now I would like to invite Ulla Engelmann. Floor is yours, Ulla.
Thank you very much. For me, I would want to highlight the need for visibility of the sector, but not only visibility within our usual circles or in our bubbles, but reaching out further, reaching out to local, to regional and national policymakers. And that's why we need to have more, let's say, innovative approaches on how do we reach out, to use methodology which has proven to work in some places. And that's why what I had very briefly described with this European social economy regions is a kind of methodology which we could maybe take into consideration as a blueprint for other parts who are interested. We would be more than willing to share, because if we can use this innovative approach, that will help us all in the transition we need, and the transition we need, like to more sustainable economy. And that is what we are aiming to reach with the European Green Deal. And again, there we need to be all together, work together. The whole ecosystem needs to be engaged in order to help this transition process. And this is also why we have identified proximity and social economy as one of the 14 ecosystems for recovery within the European recovery plans. And all of this can only be done by participation, because we need to do this together, we need to work together. And for me, it is very important to use this as a co-creation process, which is used for modern policy making, taking into account the different views, being engaged in discussion with the stakeholders on the ground. Like this, modern policy can be put in place and then lead to change and transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ulla. I would like to now invite Antonella Noia. Floor is yours.
Yes, so in my concluding remarks, I would like to insist again on some of the roles that social economy is playing and can play further. So this prevention role, which means favoring preventive approach that save future cost or explicitly reduce the negative externalities of economic activities, and this is very important, and the mitigation role to alleviate the failure of the current system and act in complement to the public action to build back better. And to build back better, it is essential that social economy is invited at the table where the recovery strategies are designed and given a central place to contribute to co-construct those policies. And of course, I repeat this transformation role and inspiration role of social economy, which can really permeate a different way to act and to do business. And what do the social economy organization need to play these roles? I think that they need more visibility, more awareness, and an educational and cultural shift is also needed to make the social economy a natural option for consumers, for instance, but also for entrepreneurs who seek to develop activities with a strong social purpose. We need to put social economy at the center of the big picture. And obviously also what is needed is evaluation of recognition of the added value of the social economy and positive contribution to the society, which goes beyond the traditional values in terms of raising social inclusion, employment, and so on and so forth. And of course, the role of policymaker is essential in order to do so, and OECD will continue to assist them to improve the policy ecosystem at each level, national and local, and also to foster partnerships among actors, because this is really important.
Thank you very much, Antonella. I want to invite now the Big Van Buren. Big, floor is yours. Big, we don't hear you. Your microphone is mute. Oh.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Alejandro Reyes, ¿me escuchan?
Hello, good morning. My name is Alejandro Reyes. Can you hear me? Good morning, everyone.
Yes, but we have invited Big Van Buren from the UN Task Force for Social Solidarity Economy. Big, are you there? Okay, then maybe I think Big is not with us. So I would like to invite Mayor Maxime Pedernot-Jovin. Yes, take it, please. Floor is yours, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. First and foremost, I would like to say that our moderator already talked about the visibility, and Ula also talked about the visibility of the social economy at the global level. And I'm completely convinced that economic and democratic renovation should come from cities and the local level to the rest of the world. It is in the cities that citizens feel like they have the ability to change their neighborhood, to change their city. And in my opinion, thanks to the social economy, we are going to have stronger governments, which are going to develop stronger tools that will be at the disposal of citizens. In my opinion, the strength of social economy is that it gives economic power to the citizens. And beyond that, it also humanizes the governments at the local level, so that these local governments can also have a greater influence and have a greater power on what's happening around the world. I think that we are becoming increasingly powerful at the local level, and I believe that we are going to be able to have a bigger outreach and actually help the national authorities and to find the solutions that they're having trouble with at the time. So social and solidarity economy is a great tool for politicians to change institutions from the inside out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pedernot-Jovin. I think that we have just concluded our plenary. Just in very few words, that if I would like to summarize, especially our concluding part, I think Ariel has insisted a lot, actually, that we need to change some rules, and especially global financial systems, if we really would like to make a social solidarity economy as a mechanism to solve great challenges, but maintaining our strength at the local level, which is culminating throughout the contribution of all others. And Madani has insisted a lot that this crisis is an unprecedented crisis, which are really putting humanity at risk, and there is no global response to this humanitarian and human crisis. So actually, that social solidarity economy should really contribute to build a collective response to address those human conditions. Ulla, I think, insists a lot on the visibility of social solidarity economy sector, and especially reaching out further to other stakeholders, local, regional, national policymakers, and also to use innovative methodology in outreaching and also in innovating of our practice. And I think certainly European social economy region could be a very interesting model and experience. I think certainly it will be interesting that we could organize more exchanges and mutual learning. Antonella also has insisted a lot specific role and contribution of social solidarity economy, especially mitigating the failure of current system, and to also to propose a creative strategy to build back better. But in order to do that, we need to be invited by government and policymakers to the table of new strategy and new plan and program. And to do that, I think, as she said, visibility, awareness, education, and evaluations are very important, and especially continuously working with the policymakers, which will be very important to build social solidarity economy, a sustainable ecosystems. And then Mayor Bedeno-Jovin has just said that it's very important actually that we should really go back to the citizens, because that economic and democratic revolution should come from citizens and from cities. So our strengths are really at the level of citizens and citizens' participation and alliance with citizens, and through this partnership that we could really give economic power back to citizens, because we are more powerful at the local level. So I think these are some of the concluding messages, which are really very interesting. I think it's very converging, as we have heard from all our panelists. I think their messages are very clear, and I think Vic was not able to join for this third round concluding message, but as he always said, we should not preach to convert it, but we should really go out and outreach. I think this is a really concluding message. Now I would like to hand over to Mariana Flores Mayen, who will just conclude this plenary. Mariana, floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, Laurence, por el gran trabajo.
Thank you very much, Laurence, for the great moderation work that you have done. And thank you to all the panelists for sharing your experience. And of course, thank you to all of the participants.
Y bueno, esta se encierra esta semana intensa de aprendizaje,
so that is how we are closing this great week of learning, exchange, and dialogue. But this effort is not over right now. GCEF is also going to have our meeting next year in Mexico City. And as you know, in this process, we have called many different stakeholders to be a part of this global exchange. Sorry, there are technical difficulties with the original sound. We are looking to promote experiences and exchange practices, as well as concrete actions.
A lo largo de esta semana tuvimos la oportunidad de ver los videos seleccionados y hoy queremos invitar a Alba Gómez desde España para que nos presente su video. Así que Alba, si estás por ahí, nos encantaría que nos presentaras su trabajo.
So Alba, if you are around, please introduce your work. Thank you very much, Mariana. Well, I would like to introduce the video. I'm talking about our work and talking about our philosophy and where we're headed. So, in this crisis that is happening right now that greatly affects those who are more vulnerable and makes inequality more evident, our work has a clear intention of including people and empowering them to improve life conditions. And to do this, now with the closeness that we have in our work, we need to overcome barriers and we need to create trust. What we are trying to do is get people to be protagonists of their own changes. So our intervention is micro, it's local. After I've heard about all of these global initiatives, our reality is actually at the local level, at a micro level, but people in the cities can actually create different types of projects within social and solidarity economy. But also it's important to promote partnerships to improve the socio-economic policies for everyone. So we need to continue on this journey and we need to go hand in hand with people in this process of raising awareness and creating bonds with their community. And this local community intervention will strengthen society by creating networks, dignifying people's lives, and ultimately the goal is to reach social transformation. Thank you once again for having given us this opportunity, and I would not like to take more time. I would just like for us to play the video of the social project that we are doing in Catalonia in Spain.
Aporta es un proyecto social.
Social cohesion. Aporta is a social project that is developed in vulnerable, low-income neighborhoods in Catalonia. And the goal is that through people, neighbors in these regions called picaportes, these people are going to knock on their neighbors' doors to provide information about things that are relevant to those families and people. Innovation. It is innovative because the work and the type of interventions that we are doing is carried out by neighbors in their own area. They will carry out their work in solidarity to people who are in need in order to make them protagonists in their own lives. They can have the power and there can also be a unity in the neighborhood. Well, we saw what was happening in France and we thought that this could be adapted to our context. So we connected two organizations. We were their partners and we started our collaboration with them. We have helped them to create this project as a whole. Community network. We at Aporta do not provide solutions. What we do actually is to break the lack of trust and connect people to the resources existing in that territory that are created by the community itself. It could be associations, organizations, public and private resources, among others. This has revolutionized the way that we do things because you are working for a neighbor that maybe tomorrow, after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow will meet you in the neighborhood. They will acknowledge you and they will thank you because what you said about the utilities like the power, the water or the gas has been extremely useful and now I'm saving up some money to do different things. So I think it's very nice for people to feel useful and feeling that they can help those who are closest to them. Thank you.